Hello everyone and welcome to this explainer. Today we're doing something a bit different. We are officially opening up a prehistoric cold case. We're going to step right into the shoes of forensic investigators. But, instead of a modern crime scene with yellow tape, our evidence is fossilized bone. And our suspects? Well, they've been dead for literally millions of years. Let's jump right into a true North Sea mystery, relying on some incredibly cool newly published research to piece together a story of massive predators, unfortunate prey, and the ever-changing face of our oceans.
Right, so to truly wrap our heads around this mystery, we first need to completely shift our perspective of time and space. I want you to drop exactly 5 million years into the past. We're entering what's called the Pliocene epoch. Now, if you were to look at a map of the world 5 million years ago, the continents would actually look pretty familiar to you. But the climate in the oceans? Wildly different. The waters were noticeably warmer, sea levels were much higher, and the ocean ecosystems were structured in ways that would honestly seem almost alien to us today. And it's exactly in this ancient, submerged world that our story begins.
Okay, let's dive into this. Try to picture the primal reality of the southern North Sea during the early Pliocene. What we're looking at is a massive six-gill shark completely tearing into the carcass of an extinct right whale. And if you look closely in the background, there's even a pod of whales, relatives of modern belugas, just swimming by. The point here is, this absolutely was not a quiet, empty ocean. It was a highly structured, totally chaotic, and incredibly active marine food web, just teeming with giant sharks and massive marine mammals. And honestly, this sets the stage perfectly for the specific fossils we're about to investigate.
Now, here is where our forensic investigation truly kicks into gear. Decades ago, over in Belgium, scientists and amateur paleontologists unearthed some seriously fascinating fossils. We're talking about the partial skulls of an extinct right whale and a beluga relative. But these weren't just your run-of-the-mill, ordinary skulls. They carried secrets. For years and years, these fossils just sat in collections, representing a decades-old cold case. Everyone looking at them knew that something incredibly violent had happened to these whales, but the exact narrative of their demise, the who and the how, remained frustratingly out of reach. The evidence was quite literally locked away in stone.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the visual evidence that puzzled researchers for so long. Take a look at those specific areas highlighted in red on the fossilized skull fragments. Those definitely aren't natural geological formations. They are literal, physical scratches and deep, aggressive gouges left right on the bone. They are, without a doubt, bite marks. Imagine being the paleontologist looking at this for the first time. You have a skull from a massive sea creature and it has these brutal gashes across it. It clearly tells a story of an attack, but visual inspection alone just wasn't enough to definitively point the finger at the culprit. We needed to look deeper.
And that brings us to the technological breakthrough that finally cracked this cold case wide open. Enter the CT scan. For a really long time, the absolute only way to see inside a fossil was to physically break it apart. And as it turns out, paleontologists really frown upon smashing priceless millions-of-year-old specimens with a hammer, obviously. But modern computed tomography, or CT scanning, changed the whole game. By using this non-invasive imaging technology, scientists could digitally peer deep into the interior of these fossilized whale skulls without causing a single scratch. They could finally look way past the surface bite marks and see what might have been left behind inside the bone itself.
And let me tell you, what they found inside was wild. It was the ultimate smoking gun. Deep down within the fossilized bone, totally buried out of sight from the naked eye, the CT scans revealed embedded shark tooth fragments. Yeah, you heard that right. These predators were feeding so aggressively that the tips of their teeth actually snapped off right in the bone and just remained lodged inside the whale skulls for 5 million years. I mean, just think about the sheer force required to embed a tooth that deeply into a massive skull. This discovery was absolutely monumental. It didn't just confirm that sharks were responsible for the bite marks, it proved for sure that these specific marks were the result of a frenzied post-mortem scavenging event. So, with the teeth officially identified, the researchers could finally draw up a complete suspect board. Let's look at the lineup. On the victim's side, we've got the extinct right whale and a monodontid, which is an ancient relative of today's beluga whales. And on the culprit's side, well, the tooth fragments pointed directly to the six-gill shark and an ancient, very close ancestor of the great white shark. We finally know the exact dynamic at play here. We know exactly who was eating whom in the shallow, ancient waters of prehistoric Belgium.
But the investigation didn't just stop at identifying the species. It actually revealed how these ancient sharks fed, which is super fascinating. The researchers noted something highly specific. They said their attacks are concentrated on fat-rich areas, like the melon of the whales. This is such a crucial detail.
The melon is basically a mass of adipose tissue found right in the foreheads of toothed whales. So it turns out these prehistoric scavengers were effectively picky eaters. They weren't just biting randomly at the carcass. They were acting like gourmands, going straight for the high-calorie dessert. They deliberately targeted the most nutrient-dense, fat-rich sections of the whales just to maximize their energy intake. It's a remarkably efficient survival strategy, recorded absolutely perfectly in the fossil record.
Now, ecosystems are never static. 5 million years ago, the North Sea was this incredible playground for giant apex predators and massive whales, maintaining a highly structured and super vibrant marine food web. But contrast that with the present day. If you go visit the southern North Sea today, you are definitely not going to find great white sharks or massive six-gill sharks scavenging on whale carcasses. These specific apex predators simply no longer frequent these waters. The entire ecosystem completely transformed over millions of years as the climate cooled down and habitats inevitably shifted.
So the crucial point is this. Why on earth does a 5-million-year-old cold case matter to us right now? Well, because history is essentially a map of the future. The source material highlights that, with current global warming, the distribution of marine species is rapidly and profoundly evolving all over again. Just as ancient climate shifts pushed those apex predators out of the North Sea back then, our current, rapidly warming oceans are aggressively altering habitats today. It's fundamentally reshaping modern predator-prey links. The ecosystem boundaries are moving at an absolutely unprecedented pace, and marine life is being forced into a really harsh reality right now. Adapt, relocate, or face extinction.
Which brings us to our final and honestly, perhaps most provocative thought. As our modern oceans continue to heat up, kind of mirroring the warmer conditions of the Pliocene epoch, the scientists behind this research raise a truly fascinating question. Are these shifting marine distributions actually setting the stage for the return of apex predators, like the great white shark, to the North Sea? Could history be repeating itself? It's a really powerful reminder that our planet's ecosystems are entirely dynamic, and by understanding the ancient past locked away in these fossilized bones, we can actually better anticipate the dramatic changes that are coming to our own shores. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.